Hugh Dillion is one of the stars of the Mayor of Kingstown, which airs every Sunday on Paramount Plus. He's also one of the co-creators of the show, so the show would not be here without him. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Rudy, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Talk a little bit about your experience growing up and how that came into the to bring the script to life.
I mean, 15 years ago, Taylor Sheridan was my acting coach in LA. And just prior to that, I had done a movie with Vera Farmiga called Down to the Bone in New York. And prior to that, I grew up in a town called Kingston, Ontario, that had 9 penitentiaries, maximum, medium prison for women. And I always had this story in my head. And when I met Taylor, he, that guy's just a force of nature anyway, but he just thought, this is a great story. We can create this and make this happen. And all you have to do is be patient. So it took 10 years, but here we are.
Not only did you have, watch on the news as far as, when somebody committed a crime that they were coming to your town, but also friends at school and parents who worked at the prisons and people who you knew were going in. I mean, this must really affect somebody's mind, especially growing up and being really confusing as to why all these things were happening.
Well, it is, my earliest memories are you see the guard towers, and as a kid, you think it's Disneyland, so it's such you have to understand really what's going on in there. And then, it was a prison town. It was an industry town. It was a university town. And so, like anybody else, my friends, the Callahans and the Mulrooneys and the brothers of family friends who grew up to be guards. And my mom was a teacher. It's just, you take everything and in this case, this was the town that I grew up in. And you just, I'm a songwriter. So you do it with anything. You just create the world. And Taylor Sheridan as my partner in this endeavor, as the co-creator, it was just, I could sit in a room with him for hours and we would just, talk about it. I'm trying to watch my profanity.
Save it for the show.
Yeah, you would just create him and I. It was just whole days would go by because we'd drink coffee and we were supposed to be talking about scripts, or he was coaching me for another show, and we would just talk about this. What if we could do this? What if we got to a point in our lives where we could create our own show? What would we really want to do? And it's about perseverance and dreams. And I credit Taylor for all of it.
That is amazing, and I'm so glad that you were able to bring this show to life. Let's talk a little bit. We're halfway through this season right now, but as someone who hasn't caught up yet or needs to binge the show before Sunday, tell us a little bit about what we're going to see.
The show it's raw, it's uncompromising. It's got Jeremy Renner and Diane Weiss. Jeremy Renner, has found another gear here in terms of performance. It is, it's a dark show. It's about a prison town. But it is, we just had great cinematographers, great actors, great, Emma Laird is in it. She's an English actress. Diane Weiss is on top of her game. And it's exciting. I mean, Variety just said that, we should be up for some kind of a bunch of awards. So I was like, I quickly looked at my phone and put it down. But it's just, it's a dream come true. I don't know how else to say it. It's exciting, and everybody brought their A game.
You mentioned Diane Weiss. I mean, we're so used to seeing her in comedies. And was this a big change for her? And what does it feel like, especially, you as something that you co-created, to see her on screen portraying one of the characters?
Well, she's just she's an intense, intelligent woman. Even in her real life, I text her and we talk about, the next season and the season after that. And she's, I saw her out protesting Rikers Island in New York City where she lives. So she's very interested in, mass incarceration and this kind of storytelling. And she's, she doesn't just show up. She's interested in the whole, every little nuance about this show. She's just fascinating to work with. It's still, when I see her name come up on my phone, I'm like, you know, I had, oh my God, it's Diane Weiss. But she's, you know, she's just that kind of, you really have, it's almost like your mom, because she can tell if you're full of BS. And so you really got to be on your game, and you've got to just tell the truth. And that's how you, you know, navigate Diane.
You always need to have somebody like that in your life, and I'm glad that Diane is that person for you. Someone else I want to chat about is Kyle Chandler, because he early on in his career started off in a show here in the Chicago area, Early Edition, and just his star has just risen. He's an Emmy Award winner now. Talk a little bit about casting him and having him part of the show as well too.
Well, that was just spectacular. I mean, Taylor knows everybody, so he has this rapport. And when we got Kyle Chandler, I always wanted him. That was my first pick. You know, sometimes they say, well, you can get A, B, and C. And this dude was just, that was the guy. And he just has that older brother kind of charisma and warmth in real life. And I remember, you know, it was almost like you're not acting, because he's got funny stories. He puts you at ease, and he is that guy. So it was just, you know, a lot of it is luck and timing. I hate to say it, and some scheduling. But once people are on board with this material, they are on board. And, you know, again, it's a credit to Taylor Sheridan that you know, he's on top of his game right now.
Let's go back and talk a little bit about the place where you grew up. As far as Kingstown goes, how is it now? As far as, you know, how you grew up, is it still exactly the same? And did you go back there to talk to people as far as, you know, their experience as well too?
Well, I'm, you know, in the, what's interesting is we went back there, but the, you know, the prison we shot at was decommissioned a few years ago. So I would be on my phone taking pictures and sending them to Taylor Sheridan, going, we could shoot here. You know, he would often say, you've got to stop drinking so much coffee, but because I would just flood him with, we could do this. This is, you know, and so we did go back there, and, you know, some of the prisons are decommissioned. The prison for women is decommissioned. And Kingston is, and it's a university town. And some of the other prisons are more on the outskirts of town now. And it has changed, like everywhere. It's a little more gentrified than when I grew up there in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, when I grew up there, I played hockey with, you know, Doug Gilmore, and I lived on the same street. We played hockey together. My coaches were two cops who had guns on their ankles, and they'd leave them on the bench in the morning, and we'd have 5 a.m. hockey practices. It was a real, you know, it was a real rock and roll town.
Hugh, thank you so much for your time today. Mayor of Kingstown, every Sunday, Paramount Plus.
Thank you.